All right, shall we transition into Adam's favorite player of all time?
I hate him.
Adam or Zlatan?
Yes. On April 29th, 2022, Zlatan Ibrahimovic told ESPN he is the best player to ever feature in Major League Soccer. I'm trying to find the exact quote. But the problem was, I'm very happy. I'm very thankful for MLS because they gave me a chance to feel alive. But the problem was I was still too alive. So I was too good for the whole competition. That is what I showed. I'm the best player to ever play in MLS. And that is not me having an ego or trying to show off now. That is true. When I was there, I enjoyed it. I had a good time and I liked the way they were working. They were doing the way that they were doing the marketing stuff. I think playing in MLS is the best way for me to come back after my injury. I was in the best condition ever, and I'm very proud I played for the MLS. All right, guy, calling it the MLS.
Everybody calls it the MLS.
Yeah, but it's not the MLS. It's not the Major League Soccer.
I know.
Because they were saying to me the stadiums are pretty empty when you play in that. There was no empty stadium when I was playing. It was even overbooked, so I cannot complain. I'm very happy I was there.
Honestly, that quote wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
You never, at 40 right now, is playing for Serie A, and even hinted he could follow Inter Miami owner David Beckham's path and create his own franchise. You never know. Maybe one day I'll be back. So to show them how, to give them a reminder of what real football is. So for 2 years, they get to see what real football is, and they will never see something like that before. Maybe I come back and I have my own club. You never know. I want to punch something after reading that. Oh God.
I mean, why do you expect anything less from him? I mean,
no, and that's his thing, right? He stirs the pot. He gets people angry. He gets people talking. And I will not take away anything that he's done. He is a phenomenal player, both in his entire career and when he was with the Galaxy. But there is not anything you could tell me to convince me that he was the best player to ever step foot on this league at all. Disagree?
Nope, I do not disagree.
You know,
I don't know if he meant like most talented player of all time to play in the league, or like most dominant when he was here. But either way,
both wrong.
Yeah, either way, it's wrong, because when he was here, the first season, 2018, Josef outscored him. Granted, Josef had played more games still. Then 2019 was when Vela went nuts, and Vela was obviously better than him that season. And then even in terms of like the most talented player to ever play here, I mean, Thierry Henry exists. So, yeah, I mean, automatically you have, huge competition there. I mean, there's been a ton of legends that have played here, though. I mean, Gerrard, Lampard, Pirlo, even if they were way past it at that point, those guys were crazy talented. David Villa.
Just taking a look here on our good friend Transfer Market. He's got this really long list of awards, and just it's really weird that I don't see a single one from LA Galaxy.
I don't even see a playoff appearance for the LA Galaxy.
You cannot walk onto this. Oh my God. You cannot try and convince me that you were the best player in a league with a playoff system that you didn't even get into, or an award for Golden Boot that you didn't even win. Disgusting. Awful. Terrible. Let's talk about our friend Thierry Henry. Even at the end of his time, still got a supporter shield. That's already better than what's his name?
Zlatan.
Zlatan. Already better than that guy. Made the playoffs every year he was here too. Granted, different time. But even then, right, you mentioned Carlos Vela, and he made that crack about Carlos Vela too, about, oh, well, how old is he and where was I when I was his age and whatever. Great. So you were, if you had come here at your age, sure, maybe you were competing, but 34 goals in a season is unreal. Supporter Shield champion, top scorer, got awful close in the Champions League too. Something he didn't get to play in either. I would have loved to see Zlatan go up against some guy from Pumas, just folding him in half. I'm trying to think of just players off the top of my head that I would consider. Let's stay in the team. He's not even the best player to play for LA Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean that's tough competition.
You can argue, so you can. I will sit here and listen to an argument that says that, like, career-wise, maybe up there with one of the best players ever to be in the league. I get it, but for his time here, all he had were a bunch of goals that got his team nowhere near the playoffs.
He did make the playoffs in 2019.
No, don't give me that. I know that.
But they lost to their rivals in the quarterfinals. So like
that was a great game, by the way.
5-3. That's wild. What a playoff game.
Right. So David Beckham was a part of that Manchester United squad that was unbelievable. And then went in and won 2 Supporter Shield, 2 MLS Cups, while changing the face of the league, right? Zlatan came in, scored what, 50-something goals in 40-something games or something like that?
Yeah, I think he had this says
I thought it was
50,
like 52, right?
Yeah, this Wikipedia says 53 and 58. I think MLS says, let's see, 30, 52 in 56. I think it's 52 goals and 56 appearances is what MLS says.
A phenomenal goal scoring record. I will not take that away from him. The man could score goals. That is his job. That's what he does. I will never sit here and try and say that he is not a good player. But he's not even, man, I wouldn't even put him top 10.
What are you comparing it on? Just like all-time MLS career?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's here only 2 years.
Sure, but even if I'm going to go, there are players who have been, I'll take 2-year periods of any player that you want. I could probably find 10 players, so I would have taken over Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I don't know. I would say I'd argue he was the most dominant LA Galaxy player of all time. But obviously his period, obviously his period was super short-lived, and he was only here for 2 years. The Galaxy were bad both years that he was here. There's only so much the guy can do on his own. I mean, he can't defend for this team, can't play in goal for the team. So, I mean, he did what he could. I'm not saying that he's the best to ever play here, but, you know, credit where it's due. I mean, he's in the conversation, I would say. So not all-time career-wise, but.
So this goes back to something, and I would love to get your opinion on this.
Sure.
We talk about what this league needs now in terms of star players. These comments that he makes, going back to the conversation we were just having 10 minutes ago, fuel this. This comes from stuff like that. By people thinking that a 38-year-old can walk on and just do that and then walk away and think he's the best person in the world or whatever. That comes from people like that. So my question for you is, would you have rather had Zlatan in the league, or would you have rather gone on and tried to build without him?
No, I'd rather have him. I'd rather him be in the league, and I think a lot of those people had merit in what they were saying at first, if it weren't for the fact that he went to AC Milan and was tearing up Serie A as well. So you can't make the argument that, like, oh, MLS is just so bad that a 38-year-old Zlatan could walk into that league and tear it apart. When he left afterwards and was older, went to Serie A and was tearing them apart. In 2020, 2021 season, He had 15 goals and 8 Man of the Match awards in 18 starts. I mean, that's dominance. I mean, it's not to the level that he was in MLS, but none of us are arguing that MLS is on the level of Serie A. But to say that like just because he was old and was able to dominate does not discredit the league. I think it just gives Zlatan credit to what he's able to do at such an old age or older age.
Correct. I think, and I said this before I even started, I take nothing away from his ability as a person. He is otherworldly. Nobody should be able to do what he's doing at his age. And I give him complete credit for that. But I don't even put him in my top 10 of people of MLS of all time. I just don't.
I probably wouldn't either. I think if you gave him like 4 seasons, though, he probably would be.
Correct. I think if you work himself in, right? But I don't think that I would maybe back in 2018, I'm like, okay, great. He's here. People will watch. I know it was buzzing for a while because he was coming over, but it only lives for so long, right? There were tons of people who were like, oh, Zlatan's first game. You know, again, it's that first game kind of mindset, right? Oh, Zlatan's first game. I can't wait to watch it or whatever. And then, right, he does that thing in El Clasico where he scores the unbelievable 40-yard half volley, right? That's awesome. 4 weeks later, nobody cares. So is it worth it for a 4-week spike in attendance to have him come back and hurt our league that way? I don't know.
When you say come back, you mean like
with those comments? Come back with those comments.
No, I mean I'd still take him. What's your alternative? You gonna go watch? I don't know. I don't want to like throw a name under the bus. But you're gonna tell me you'd rather watch Musovski or no? I think that's Am I mixing up the LA teams there?
Let me say this. I think LA was the right spot for him.
It had to be.
Had to be.
He wasn't going to go to like a San Jose.
No, for sure. And I think LA was the right spot for him. However, LA could do better. I think Chicharito's been miles better than Zlatan in terms of what he's done. In terms of what he's done for the league. I think that on outside of his 1 year, right, his first year without Zlatan, where he was rattled by Adam's comments week by week. Once Adam, has taken his extended break, Chicharito's been on fire.
That's a fair point,
right? So, listen, you're looking at a guy. Let me look at transfer market here really quick just to get my numbers accurate. But outside of an injury, I'm pretty sure last season, if I remember correctly, he was on a goal a game. Was he not? Wasn't it like 17 and 18?
Yeah, he was on a great pace.
Yeah, 17 and 21 games. He's got 5 and 9 right now. Zlatan, my good friend, him and I, we go back.
Zlatan did the same thing in 2019. 30 goals, 29 games.
Right? So Zlatan's on a better, but still a similar pace. And Chicharito's not coming out and saying, I'm the greatest player in this league.
Well, Zlatan also did it over a full season. Chicharito's only done it for like half the season so far.
Right.
He got hurt. Obviously not his fault, but he got hurt.
But what I'm saying is it's not like you have replaced him with somebody who cannot produce. So you can find somebody who can produce at that level.
Yeah, but does he draw in as much attention? No.
Correct. But now let me flip this and go back to the conversation that we were having, right? There's that balance between putting people in seats and product on the field. I think you can get you definitely cannot get somebody who will put people in the seats like Zlatan unless you're getting Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, right? But you can replace his productivity. And for that reason, there is no shot that Zlatan is the best player in MLS. No.
I don't think Chicharito has fully replaced what he brought to the table. I
No,
think
he
if you
doesn't.
give
Nobody
if you
does.
give this Galaxy team Zlatan up top, they're not missing the playoffs last season.
I
And
agree.
who knows what they'd be capable of in the playoffs.
I know exactly what they'd be capable in the playoffs. What happened in 2019? Nothing.
He had a much worse team, I feel like, in 2019.
Sure.
Not to mention a worse coach, too. Give him Greg Vanny and a very solid team around him. I think he has much better chance to win stuff in this league.
I agree with that. I do. That being said, that doesn't give him the status of the best player ever if he had other players or other coaches. Right? When he was here, what did he do? He scored 53 goals in 58 games, had 15 assists, great. Made the playoffs once, did not win Golden Boot either year, and just talked a lot, right? Or
I think you're
playoffs.
underselling it. I just think you're underselling it.
So, but here's the thing: you don't get to come in and make comments like that for people to not rationalize it the way that I'm rationalizing it, right? Because what you're trying to figure out is what is the best player? What does it mean to be the best player? Best player helps his team be successful. He didn't help his team be successful.
What more do you want him to do?
It doesn't matter. He got one playoff appearance in 2 years, which is what FCC is going to be on pace for between this year and last year, by the way.
You can't cherry pick those stats like that.
Yes, I can, and I will. Listen, he's a great goal scorer. I will not take that away from him. You know who else is a really good goal scorer?
Who?
Bradley Wright Phillips.
Yeah, Bradley Wright Phillips had a much better team around him.
You know who else is a really good goal scorer?
Who?
Chris Wondolowski.
Neither of which were able to reach the dominance that Zlatan did. They just had longevity.
You sound like Adam.
It's just a fact. It's a fact. If you give Zlatan, if you had him play as long in this league as BWP and Wando did, he would blow them out of the water in stats. You can't even argue that. He would blow them out of the water.
Okay, hold on one sec. I'm going to get Josef Martinez,
Okay.
a goal every 100 minutes. Zlatan, a goal every 90 minutes. So like I said, great goal scorer. Who's better, Zlatan or Josef?
If you're talking overall over their career, obviously Josef has the better MLS career because Zlatan played 2 seasons here.
Correct.
I could pick Josef's last 2 seasons, and Zlatan would absolutely be better.
You can pick Josef last 2 seasons. He was hurt the last 2 seasons.
Okay.
Pick his first 2 seasons.
I don't want to pick his first 2 seasons.
Because it makes you sound dumb.
No, it doesn't.
First 2 years, Josef, I will take over first 2 years Zlatan any day of the week. Any day of the week.
You also had 36-year-old Zlatan versus like 27-year-old Josef.
Also fair. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that. And again, I don't take away from what he did at the age that he was doing it. I don't take any of that away. But I still think that there were people at his age, possibly. I don't know if anybody actually was at that age. I gotta fact check that. Or let me do this. Around his age, when he got here, who were more impactful. Again, this is a tougher now, as we dive into this further, this is actually a tougher conversation because your comparison is now 36-year-old Zlatan in MLS 3.0 versus 36-year-old Thierry Henry in MLS 1.5. And that's a tough that's tough. I get that. But I still think I would go. Oh my God. Tell me it's him. Alex Mouille with a goal. I'm also watching Nashville versus RSL as we talk about this, but to the moon, Alex Mouille.
You're getting distracted.
No, was it not Alex Mouille?
Was
No,
it not?
dang it, Dave Romney. Stop looking like Alex.
If you could find me another 36-year-old that was able to actually forget the age conversation. I agree with you. Zlatan is not the greatest to have ever played in MLS. That is a fact. But he's arguably, not saying this is, set either, but he's arguably one of the most dominant players to have played in this league. And if he had a career as long in this league as Wando or BWP, he would be the best player to have ever played in this league. I will say that with the utmost confidence.
I will agree with you on that. But his point is that in his 2 years, he instantly became the best player in the league ever. Wrong. And I think we agree on that as well. It was Dave Romney. I'm disappointed. I'm sad. I thought Alex Mouille got his time in the spotlight. But listen, the reason I wanted to talk about this was to tie it back to the conversation we had earlier. Those comments are not needed anymore. Those comments hurt our league way more than it helps our league because of all the things that we've talked about already. It's detrimental to have somebody walk in and just bash the league. Oh, it's a place where I went to, rehab my injury. It's a place where I can, what was the other one that he said? It was a place where, the stadium comment. It was a place where everywhere I went, people came to see me, and that's all that matters, right? It's a very me versus the league thing, and that is not what we need anymore. MLS 4.0 is past that.
How much does that really hurt the league, though? I mean, if you're talking Euro snobs, they already thought that.
Well, here's the thing. You're right. They already thought it. That hurts the league more than Seattle winning CONCACAF Champions League helps the league, because now it adds one more thing. Think of it like an onion. Eurosnobism is an onion. All right, let's talk about a metaphor. Eurosnobism is an onion. At its root is discrediting MLS as a whole, whether it be the style of play, whether it be the talent of play, whether it be the weird rules that we play by, which are great, by the way, whether it be any of those things, right? That is what's at our core. Each time something like this happens, it just adds another layer that you have to break down before you get to the core and fix the issue, right? So the issue is, how thick are those layers, right? And with true Eurosnobism, I'm going to put ES, right? This is your first layer, right? Depending on who you have, depending on the Eurosnob that you have, is how thick your layers are. So you can have something like that, or your next layer could be that big. And you have to, just to get to the next layer. And really, as you are working your way down, you might have somebody yesing you to death, like, oh yeah, I agree. When realistically, they're just putting you this way, and you're creating a whole nother layer of Eurosnobism. Eurosnobism is an onion, people. That's what we've learned today. And comments from Zlatan Ibrahimovic about being the best player in the league after 2 seasons at 30 whatever years old are creating more layers of that onion that we now need to break down. So I would rather have players like Chicharito, who have a very similar output, or Josef Martinez, who has a very similar output and are not terrible in terms of what the league is, than bring those people in for 2 seasons. Giovinco, to continue on with this, also made similar comments like that, but you could tell they were out of salt, right? You saw him basically was like, oh, I want to come back and play. Toronto said, no, we're good. We're going to get Insigne. And then he was like, yeah, I'd go too if I was getting all this money, blah, 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 blah. Clearly out of spite. Those Zlatan comments were clearly out of disrespect for the league. And I don't need that.
I think you're totally overblowing what he said. I completely agree with the fact that he was not the best to ever play in this league, but I guarantee you I can go Google and find him making the exact same comments for Ligue 1 and Serie A as well. I mean, I guarantee you he made the same comments. How I'm the best that ever have played in those leagues. Like that's just what Zlatan does.
But here's the issue. Those leagues don't need to fight for respect or relevancy.
But Zlatan making these comments isn't going to change it. I mean, the people that believe him already believed it anyway.
Connor, did you not just listen to the onion metaphor? What did I just say?
I think that some of his comments would actually help to peel off the onion. I mean, he talked about how when he was here, wait, let me find the quotes again. He said,
the only good thing that he had in those quotes were, I liked what they were doing. They were marketing well, which is a lie, by the way. We market like crap.
That's not the only good thing that he said. He said, okay, so the best ever play here, I think that's wrong, but that's just Zlatan. That's just how he is. He said this stuff about the marketing. He said they're doing really good marketing work. He said that when he was here, he was in the best condition he's ever, which I think is a good sign for at least the physio part of the game here.
That's a lie.
And the training.
20 injuries right now.
All right, well, that's a team thing. That's not necessarily a Galaxy thing.
Also,
and then he also talked about how they're.
I don't think Eurosnobs care about if we have good physios. I'm just
no, probably not.
Just
probably
gonna toss that one out there.
No, you're probably right. They're not, but the players might. You know, if a player is thinking about it.
Okay.
And then he also mentions that when he was playing here, you know, he expected empty stadiums. However, he said they were even overbooked when it came to attendance at games. And I absolutely think Eurosnobs think that the league is dead and nobody watches games because they probably look at, you know, like 2015 RSL attendance. And they're like, oh, it's dead there.
I will take back that part of it because I took that in a completely different light when I read that, because the way ESPN did it is they split that quote up about the stadiums. So as I was skewing, I didn't read that first part about they were saying that the stadiums are pretty empty when you play there. And I just went to, there were no empty stadiums when I was playing. The way I read that was,
people came to see me.
People came to see me. I will draw back on that comment. I think he did that well. I will drop back on that. Still do not take away the fact that, and this might not even be a Zlatan thing anymore. This might be the media and the marketing. He talks about good marketing when ESPN FC comes in and is like, yes, Zlatan's the best player who ever played in this league. Right? That was the only quote that they put there. They didn't put any of the good stuff. They were just like, yeah, Zlatan, best player in the league. Fire.
Yeah, they're a media company at the end of the day.
They got to get clicks. I get it. But I will not sit here and have somebody tell me he is the best player in the league. I won't do it.
I mean, it's great that he still wants to even like consider being involved down the line. Like if he wants to come back here and potentially start up a team here as well, just like Beckham did. Obviously, you know, he doesn't have the merit that Beckham did to garner having his own team. I mean, I think that was like in Beckham's contract when he was here, but
I also don't think that he would be a good owner personally.
No, probably not. But the fact that he's like even considering it, I think it's good. I mean, he could be considering looking at it. I mean, he could be considering a team in Sweden, but he mentions MLS instead. I feel like if he really didn't like what was going on here, why would he consider like possibly owning a team here? Because like you can't say like, oh, it'll just be because that's where he'll have his opportunity. Like you can't tell me a team in Sweden wouldn't let Zlatan be an owner. Like I don't believe that for a second.
For sure. Here's how I'll end this. You cannot convince me that he is even a top 10 player in the history of MLS. However, you can absolutely convince me that he's a top 5 most influential player ever. That you can convince me of. Of the personalities this league has brought in over the last 26, 27 years, you can tell me he is a top 5 most influential player to step in.
I think he is a top 10 MLS player of all time. I think he is not a top 10 MLS career. That's how I would say it. It's pretty much, I think it's exactly along the lines of what you were saying.
When you say top 10 MLS player, do you mean in his time here he was top 10, or over his career he is the top 10 like most important people, like most decorated.
like talent he brought to the field while he was playing in MLS.
That'd be a really good episode. That'd be a really good episode.
That'd be
We need to
tough.
get-
That'd be
we
a
need
tough
to get-
episode.
We need to get an MLS 1.0 on here to have that conversation so we can.
Oh, yeah,
dig back
no,
to-
let's not include those at all.
No.
You
No.
think MLS? You put Zlatan in 1998 MLS. He's scoring 100 goals a season. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I'll give you that one.
We could just skip that whole decade, probably. Sorry, old MLS fans, but it's probably just the truth, to be honest with you.